Let's, in the meantime, get you the live market updates that is now coming in as the Sensex seems to have crashed over 3,900 points. Nifty has also slumped in the pre-opening as far as the GIFT Nifty that fell as much as 1,000 points in the early ticks of Monday. And this is now the update coming in as far as globally when it comes to the effects of the reciprocal tariffs that can now be seen, especially when it comes to the Asian markets that have been in the red so far. And now we are looking at today being the 7th of April, indicating a possible start for benchmark index near the 4th of March lows, which is around 21,964. And now what is being said that the GIFT Nifty, which is a potential indicator of how Indian equity indices, Sensex and Nifty 50 indices are likely to begin trading, fell as much as 1,000 points in the early ticks of Monday. That possibly is now indicating the start for the benchmark index near the 4th of March lows of 21,964. So the Sensex crashes over 3,900 points. The Nifty has also slumped in the pre-open trade. Let's get in a word from Sumit, who is connected with us right now. Sumit, how would you explain when it comes to the Sensex, how it has been reacting markets globally? We have seen the reciprocal tariffs and the effects that has now been seen.
Well, we were expecting this to happen last week, but it has come on Monday, which is today now. Developments have happened over the last few days that have contributed to this. But it's not just India. Global markets have really come down, heavily crashed since Trump made his announcements. On Friday, he said that even pharma will not be spared. Earlier, pharma was considered as one of the saving grace sectors, but he came out and saying even pharma will have special tariffs. So keeping that in mind, well, clearly now there is no saving grace for the market, it looks like, and traders are in panic selling as we speak. That's why in pre-open market slumped by around 4,000 points. And that is since June last year, since June 2024, when the results of the elections, general elections were announced. Well, some of this was expected, but this kind of was coming down was clearly not expected. It is happening now. Global trade wars, they are a reality now. Economics is in focus. Every country is running for saving its exporters, its trade, and that is an important overall point that every country wants to save its exporters and citizens from more inflation. However, it will impact US also, but it is still going ahead and bringing and announcing, which is bringing the market down. From today, Reserve Bank of India's 3-day Monetary Policy Committee is meeting. If interest rates are cut or something happens on that front in 2 days from now, then some relief can happen in the market front. But yes, this kind of mayhem in markets is clearly visible with this kind of coming down of markets. Since morning pre-open, 4,000 points, Sensex was down, and Nifty was also down. It came crashing down. So all the global markets have reacted to the Donald Trump's trade war, which he has started unilaterally, bringing the tariffs to a different level. India, though earlier we were hoping that India is insulated to some extent, but it looks like Trump is leaving no stone unturned to bring tariffs, reciprocal tariffs for other countries, including India. He's mentioned India many times also.
Well, Sumit, please stay connected with us. Mr. Ajay Dua is also a market expert connected with us. So good morning to you. What do you make as far as how the markets in India have been reacting to this global fallout right after Donald Trump's retaliatory tariffs, which has triggered global sell-offs and has reignited recession fears?
I think the reaction today of the markets, the Asian markets which have opened up, and just now the Indian market, is to the Chinese reaction of the last 2 days. First, imposing as much tariff on the U.S. imports as the U.S. has imposed upon them earlier in the week on the 2nd. And second, fact which comes, I think I must highlight that the Chinese have been clever. They have hit the Americans where it hurts them the most, that is their agriculture. 20% of the exports of agriculture exports from the United States are only to China. China needs them, but certainly in order to send home a message, they have focused on the American exports, and there, I think it's cleverly done move. 1/3 of the votes which President Trump got in his presidential election came from the 10 agricultural states of the United States. And that is what the Chinese have hit. And I think this is, I would call it, a beginning of a trade war, which we do not know.
So does retaliatory tariffs on reciprocal tariffs work, which is exactly what China has done apparently? Retaliation with it comes to the tariffs on US goods. Markets have been plunging. There has been escalating trade war. How is India putting up as far as the factory output that surged in March, but the GDP growth also faces a lot of risk?
Indeed. The question is, for us, the United States is the biggest trading partner. If there is going to be adverse reaction to the trade wars which the United States has initiated, it means fewer imports from India would take place. Because there is a recessionary-like condition setting into the USA, and that warning for it has come from the U.S. Fed chairperson himself. And yesterday, even Morgan Stanley, a well-respected market leader or a market player, whatever you want to call it, has also said that we see a recession in the United States on the horizon. So if anybody is trading with the U.S., dependent upon the U.S. for a whole lot of factors, as India is, the adverse reaction of the kind which we saw in the market this morning was bound to happen.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Dua. Appreciate you joining us here on the broadcast. Mithali is also connected with us. Mithali, how are you looking at, when it comes to the pre-opening jitters? Sensex opening at 3,380 points lower. And when it comes to the current trading as well, how do you believe that the markets in India are reacting?
So I think, the reaction very honestly is quite logical. I mean, we are expecting today to be what we call, what a lot of analysts are calling a Black Monday, because this is the first time that trading has opened since the announcement, properly opened since the announcement of the tariffs. And like Mr. Dua was just saying, this reaction does not just come from the exposure of Indian companies or Indian trade to the U.S. because, of course, we have already sort of understood that a lot of sectors in India are exposed, but then at the same time, with pharma and IT, etc., being exempted, it does not directly impact the Indian economy so much. However, what we do find is that the fears of recession in the U.S. and the fear of generalized recession spreading across the world, because the U.S. is the consumption economy of the world. That really is what is spooking investors today, and that's absolutely valid and logical.
All right, saying that this is something expected when it comes to the reciprocal tariffs announcement that was made by President Donald Trump. Thank you, Mithali, for that update, which has now triggered global sell-offs and reignited recession fears. And there are global indices that seems to be echoing widespread panic and indicators pointing out to further downside ahead. When it comes to Indian markets, they have also reacted in the same manner. With that, we head into a short break. Lots more lined up on the other side.